Okay, we're continuing our discussion of Mashiach. And I'm not in the mood today. I'm just not in the mood. I can't do it. Let's go. You're bringing it now. Okay, we're back into Mashiach. We looked at the Rambam last class. The Rambam gave a list of attributes of the Mashiach, the final Messiah. One of them he mentioned was the fact that the Mashiach is going to be a direct descendant of David HaMelech. That is why we use the expression Mashiach ben David. Mashiach ben David is a reference, we'll see a couple of opinions on this, to him being a direct descendant. That means his father's father, all the way back, has to be King David. Where does the Rambam get this from? Let's have a look at a pasuk in the Torah on page 38. And the pasuk, the verse is Genesis 49:10, Bereshis. And it says, Lo Yasur Shevet Yehuda. The scepter, the royal scepter, will not leave Yehuda. U'mechoket miben raglav. And the ruler's staff are not going to go from between his feet. Ad kiavo Shiloh, until Shiloh comes. Now, at this point, you should know who Shiloh is a reference to. Mashiach. That's right. That is one of the 4 possible names of Mashiach. V'lo, and to him, this individual, Yikat Amim. The other nations of the world are going to show great obedience to. Let's just break this down over here. We see, first of all, that Yehuda were the tribe from which royalty came from. Kings came from Yehuda. Mashiach is going to be a part of the royal dynasty that's going to be restarted. We see that, well, actually, first of all, kingship started with Ruvain, and then Ruvain lost it. It shifted from his tribe and moved. Then King Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin. He lost it, and eventually it came to Yehuda, and that's where it stayed and remained until the end of days. Okay?
So this is the source of Mashiach in
This is
Torah?
the source, one of the sources of Mashiach in Torah.
Was Yaakov aware when he was saying this?
Yaakov was very aware of what was going on. Yaakov, not only, he actually knew the end date of Mashiach's arrival, right? As his father knew, and his grandfather knew, and even Daniel the prophet knew. However, Rashi tells us the end date, and maybe even the way Mashiach would come, was held back from him from revealing. He was forbidden to reveal this information, and that's why the parsha this appears in Vayechi, it's Sosom, it's closed up one parsha to the next, to say that this level, he was refrained from telling us why he wasn't allowed to tell us, and why we're not allowed to know the end date. We're going to discuss later on. Yeah.
So if your family doesn't have yichus, but you are like technically...
Great question. We're going to get there. Hold your yichus question.
Okay.
Hold it. I want to get to it in a second. I promise you. Says the Targum Yonasan, Loi Paskav Malachim V'Shlitim Midveis Yehuda. There's never going to be ceased kings and rulers from the house of Yehuda, right? And even teachers of Torah from his children until Mashiach comes, who are going to be one of his descendants. Says Yabarbanel, what does this idea mean? What are we dealing with? Bottom of page 38. And he says something very interesting. He says Mashiach can be a direct descendant of King David. However, he says, and the Abarbanel writes extensively on Mashiach and his commentary to Sefer Daniel in the last chapter. And he says something fascinating. He says the Kabbalists, now I don't know if this is a contradiction. I've heard from some people it may be, but I don't believe it is. They see Mashiach won't only be a descendant, he's going to be a reincarnation. Because the Abarbanel is following the Kabbalistic interpretation, obviously as well. And the Kabbalists, as we know at this point, follow the reincarnation model. And says the Abarbanel, Melech HaMashiach yeh mizera David, aval bali Kabbalah shekaimu v'kiblu das gilgu nefashos, who accept upon themselves this idea of reincarnation. Amru shemelech Mashiach, that Mashiach yeh David is going to be King David, not a descendant of his, but him. That's what it means. How can that be? Ki hinei nefesh David tisgalgal b'melech Mashiach. His soul is going to reincarnate into Mashiach. Personally, I don't know particularly what the difference is. He seems to make a chiluk, a difference, says the Abarbanel, we just read it inside, between being a descendant of someone and actually being that person and having that person's soul being reincarnated into that person. Sarah?
So if could the Kabbalists think that somebody who isn't like a direct descendant?
No, they can't. You see, that you'd have to go against the Rambam and all the sources to say that. You can't go with that. It's going to have to be an addition. It's going to have to be because everyone accepts he has to be a direct descendant. And we'll see in a moment, like we'll do it right now, what was just asked over here, is that one of the ways you found Mashiach is going to have a Sefer Yichsin. They're going to have a book that shows that they are a direct descendant of King David. Okay? Now, there were many such books. I actually have seen one of a family in Muncie of an Argentinian Jew, and he has a direct descendancy of him and his father, and his father's father, all the way back to Adam and Rishon. Now, that's pretty planet mental. I'm just telling you. That's just like crazy. However, there were people in the past who knew they were descendants of King David. One of them is the Maharal of Prague. And the Maharal of Prague himself traced his own lineage to Rav Hai Gaon, who himself went back to David HaMelech. Rashi had a tradition as well that he came from King David. So if you can, they're basically steps along the way. There's certain posts you can attach yourself to, you can hitch yourself to, which take you back. But he's going to have to prove it. He's going to have to prove it. Many of these books, unfortunately, of lineage were lost during the Holocaust. Many people had these books, and they were lost. But somehow, in some way, he's going to have to prove that he is the direct descendant of King David. It's a given. You can't just turn up and say, I'm a direct reincarnation of. I don't believe that's going to work. Okay? That's what we're going to have to do.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the beginning, like way in the beginning with like Adam and Noah and Abraham and all these people, was there a way that they kept track of all the people?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the Torah itself is into keeping track, right? You'll see large chunks of Torah, but the ones that count, the lineages that we follow, right? There are books there that give us lineage of Torah and all the way back, for sure, right? In other words, from the time of the Gemara and backwards, we have time for the Rishonim, the Gaonim, we have. At this point, a lot's happened to us in history. A lot of, exiles we've been through. We've lost a lot of these things. They still do exist, but it's going to have to be shown. It's going to have to be shown. How it's proven, we'll see. I'll show you a very interesting proof that may come with it as well. But what's this Kabbalistic idea? Let's go a little bit into that for a moment. So, based upon the Nefesh HaChaim over here, when I say reincarnation of, it means he's going to embody what King David was. Okay? We'll do this piece in English. What's being explained here is that Mashiach is the embodiment of the ideal creation of man. It's not something that a person can say about any individual. Although every person was created in line with the original ideal, right, the ideal is not actualized. It remains as a root, as a shoresh. As such, there is no one who so much resembles the ideal of man, but David HaMelech did. David HaMelech really epitomized the idea that we're describing over here. He is the closest we have in history of kingship, of Mashiach, of royalty. We don't just pick someone from history and say, oh, it's him. Now, David HaMelech came from Yaakov. We don't say Mashiach ben Yaakov. Mashiach ben David. Why? Because David HaMelech, King David, represents everything we need to know about Mashiach. The bits that we realize, the bits we don't realize. There's something about him. You look at his life, what he went through, the challenges, struggles, the level he reached, that's who he was. Okay? So the prophet Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 2, Yeshayahu Navi, Yud Aleph Beis, gives us a 6-point checklist of the various attributes and personal qualities of Mashiach. Let's just run through them together, shall we? Number 1, says Isaiah, this Mashiach, v'nachal lav ruach Hashem, he's going to have the spirit of Hashem rest upon him. Number 1, ruach chochmah. That's number 1. He's going to have tremendous chochmah. What's chochmah? Wisdom. As well as that, bina. What's bina? Understanding, intuition. Ruach eitzah. Ruach eitzah. What's eitzah? Of giving advice, yeah. He's going to be able to counsel. Right? You can have people who are very smart with no personal qualities and can't lead you or guide you. Says Isaiah the prophet, no. He's going to be involved. He's going to counsel. He's going to connect to people. What else? Gevura. This is Ruach Chachma, Bina, Ruach Eitza. What else do we have over here? Gevura. What's Gevura? Strength. Now, strength may be physical strength, but even when it comes to having, I like the word conviction. Right? We're like, oh, whatever you want. Oh, it's all good. No, we don't want to go to Israel. That's fine. No! He's going to have tremendous grume strength, personal strength. He's going to be kovish Yetzer. He's a person who controls his passions and desires. He's going to have straight strength. And strength in the way he deals with people. He's going to have gevura. He's not going to be a, Rabbi Hadjaf, oh, it's all okay. Come, everything's fantastic. Ruach Das. What's that? Das is knowledge. He's going to be smart. He's going to know his stuff. Right? That's connected to the Rambam. He's going to have all the Torah at his fingertips. Torah Bichtav and Torah Ba'al Peh. Okay? And finally, and most importantly probably, Yiras Hashem. Yiras Hashem. He's going to fear in Hashem. Each one of these are different. And each one connotes a different quality of the individual. Chachma. He's going to be wise. Have wisdom. Right? A person who questions, who understands. Bina. But not only that, it's kind of come from inside, right? Not just the magazine my wife reads on Shabbat, right? Bina. It's going to understand things. It's going to have certain Eitzah. It's going to give counsel, right? Not some academic who just sits back and just lets it happen. It's going to be out there, working with people, advise them. Gevura, personal strength, understanding, yeah? Ruach Das. He's going to know his stuff. Right? Not going to be some person who just read a lot of self-help books, and like, oh, let me help you. He's not a psychotherapist. He's going to know Torah. He's going to be full of Torah, full with wisdom. And finally, he's going to fear Hashem. Okay? Because all the first 5 are wonderful, but you can have all the first 5 and still be a sinner. Right? You have to have Yiras Shamayim. You have Yiras Hashem. Yeah? So, Das is knowledge. Das is knowledge. I understand. I've learned. Right? Your computer's Das. Right? It's full of information. But would you go to your computer for personal advice? I wouldn't suggest it. Right? Chachma is wisdom that comes through questioning and understanding. You can have a very smart person, but are they wise? You can have many professors, not here at Stone I'm talking about, but in general, who have a lot of information, but they are not wise. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so each one is an individual thing. Chachma, Bina, Das, right? Chabad. Oh, you like that, right? That's what it comes from. That's what it comes from. Yeah, that's what it comes from, right? We like all of them. One is from Hashem, one is intuition, and one we learn from others. That's how Rashi defines this Chachma, Bina, and Das. Yeah?
So, is this like straight up Siyata Dishmaya, or could you theoretically try to raise your child to be Mashiach?
Oh, good question. There is much that a person can do to build themselves up in these areas. The Rambam says, actually, that a person can grow in prophecy. Just like you can grow in intellect, there were schools of prophets. Did I mention this to you before? There were schools of prophecy. You literally go to school and learn how to be a prophet, says the Rambam. Right? I mean, when I envision that, it's like Hogwarts, like something from Harry Potter. That's not what it's like. A person would grow, they would grow in this. Absolutely. You can grow in Chachma and Bina and Das and Eitzah. These are learnable skills. Yiras Shamayim, that's left up to you. All these are in a person's pocket. Whether they get a chance to express it that way or some other way. Could you, to answer your question, could a person train their child hopefully to be Mashiach? I hope so. I mean, I'm trying with my son. I mean, he's a complete nut job, but, we're trying our best. But, he's 6, God bless him, but, you never know. He's going to be a normal person, Mashiach. Right? He's not going to be born perfect. This idea of being born perfect, is not a Jewish concept. It's not a Jewish concept. It's a Christian concept. He's a normal person. He's going to have the Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov. You have to struggle. He's going to get married. He's going to have to pay tuition. He's going to do all the stuff that we do. Everything's a normal individual. But he's going to work on himself.
Except if your family doesn't have a book of lineage, you know that there's no chance of him
No,
being.
that can come to you. Don't worry. Hashem can work that out.
Like Hashem could just.
Well, you can work it out. Everything's work-outable.
So that isn't like
A preventative quality.
right. It could,
I don't believe so. Unless the person is not.
sounds like.
Unless the person is not.
Right.
I mean, you look at the New Testament, there's actually 2 versions of the lineage from Jesus, who was not the Messiah, in case you were wondering. Just want to clear that up, right? We'll do a whole class just on that as well, or maybe 2 classes, right? But right now, you should have figured out. I mean, just what we based upon. The New Testament has just two different versions of his lineage from two different people. It just makes sense. It has to be, you can't.
So technically, anyone is capable of it, not just the families that still have their father.
Yes. As long as you, but you have to actually come from King
Right.
David. Yeah.
How does someone know if they're Mashiach?
Say what?
How does someone know if they're Mashiach?
Okay, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. It's exactly where we are right now. We're building up. All right, you don't have these. A non-for person turns up in Tel Aviv. Oh, hello, I'm the Mashiach. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying, right? What's the Torah portion this week? I don't know. It's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to work. Okay, so we'll start with this. Here's an unusual way to find out whether a person is Mashiach. And this actually was used and tested and worked well at refuting somebody called Bar Kochva or Bar Chaziba. And that is, Mashiach is going to have a level of prophecy, which we looked at already. According to the Rambam, we saw second only to Moshe Rabbeinu. That's a very possible question in your final. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Very possible. Says the Rambam something fascinating. This is in Hilchot Malachim. B'yimei Melech Mashiach, in the days of Mashiach, Kashit Yeshev Malchuso, right, when his kingdom will be established, Vid Kapsu Elav Kol Yisrael, will see he has to gather together all the Jewish people, Vid Yachsu Kulam, right, and he's going to determine their lineage. Now that's the key part of it. Follow inside. Al Piv Baruch HaKodesh, through Ruach, he's going to have Ruach HaKodesh. He's going to have a divine spirit that's going to rest upon him because of these 6 earlier traits. Right? One thing he's going to do, among many other things, one of the things that he's going to do, how we're going to show in a second, a very unusual way he's going to figure it out. He's going to know which tribe you come from. He's going to know which tribe you come from. He's going to go up to some guy and he's going to say, you are from the Shevet of Reuven. He's going to go to China and say, you are from Menashe. He's going to go to India and say, you're also from Menashe. He's going to go to America, New York, and be like, you're a Kohen. You didn't know because your grandparents weren't religious, your parents weren't religious. Let me tell you, you're actually a priest. Cool. He's going to say to someone else, oh, you think you're a Kohen? You're not. Unfortunately, something happened in your family and the kahuna was pasul. It was removed from you. He's going to approach different people and tell us what Shevet they came from. How he does that is going to be a very strange way, which I don't fully understand, but I'll tell you what it says, and you'll see the prophet himself talks about it. But why? Why do we care? Why is he going to be interested in the Shevet you came from, in the tribe you're from? Why is that so important? The Rambam's going to listen. Oh, you know what Mashiach's going to do? He's going to divide people into tribes again. Now, we don't have tribes nowadays. The only tribes we have nowadays are Yehuda, right? And we have Levi, which are the Kohanim and the Leviim come from. Besides that, we're not too sure. Okay, so the Ethiopians say they're from the Shevet Dan, and the Indians say they're from Shevet Menashe. Maybe yeah, maybe no. We're not too sure. It's been too long. It's been too long. So why is it important anyway? Why is that? Oh, that's part of the mission of the Mashiach. Getting the tribes set up again. Anybody?
So you can know our role when we build the temple.
So one thing, you've got to know your position. Different tribes, different roles. Mainly the Leviim for sure, figuring that out. Right? Also, each tribe had its own mission in Klal Yisrael. Right? Some were teachers, some were working. There were different things that people did. But the tribes weren't just like where your family came from. It delineated your mission in this world. But there's a more practical, pragmatic reason.
The Nachalot in Eretz Yisrael.
I believe so. How do we know how to divide up the land of Israel? Right? It could well be that we need this information because Eretz Yisrael is going to be divided into its original portions. Yehuda lives over here, right? And Yisachar lives over there by the water, right? Because they're out, Yisachar is learning, and Zavulun's out there in their ships, bringing. So you got to be in the right place, the right Jew in the right place. Right? Someone's got to live in the Golan, and someone's got to live in the Negev, and every tribe has to be apportioned. It could well be that this apportioning means the Jewish people are going to go back to their original claims to the various parts of Eretz Yisrael, which, trust me, is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Okay? So we saw that we've got to figure out which tribe he comes from. We're going to see that he's going to apportion people. How? Through a certain power that he's got. He's going to be a person of high quality in order to do this. Not any Joe Schmo, not any Joe Cohen can actually do that. He's got to have a certain ability in order to do that. How is he going to do this? What is his prophecy based upon? Now, this is the weird part. So if there's a weird part of this course, this is where it appears.
Wait, who's saying all this?
Me. But we just looked at the Rambam, and now we're going to see Isaiah the prophet is going to say what we're about to say.
What page are we
We're on page 40. Isaiah the prophet makes a very unusual and somewhat cryptic statement. Okay? And remember, Isaiah the prophet has got a lot to say about Mashiach. And this is not just going to be a nice thing, it's actually going to help us figure him out. Look at inside. Says Isaiah the prophet, chapter 11:3. Then we'll look at the Gemara on this piece of Isaiah. V'haricho biris Hashem. He's going to be v'haricho. Now the word haricho, I'm going to leave in Hebrew, okay? But it's sometimes translated as animated. Very animated person. Charismatic maybe. V'haricho bit Hashem is going to be animated, very involved in the fear of Hashem. V'lo l'mara einav yishpat. He's not going to judge people by his eyes. Okay, let's write down these words. Okay, he's going to be animated. He's going to judge people, but not by eyes. He's not going to look at you and figure this out.
What does it mean animated? Like,
hold on, I'm going to come there. V'lo l'mara einav yishpat, v'lo l'mishpat aznav yochiach, and not through his ears, through his aznav, not through his aznav. So how's he going to do it exactly? How's he going to do it exactly? Not by his ears, not by listening. Well, how else do you judge something? Either you see it and judge, or you hear the case for or against and you judge. What's left?
smell.
Look at the first word. V'haricho actually means smell. Smell. Through his reach. He's going to sniff out the answers and the truth. What does that mean? So let's talk for a moment about the sense of smell. And I think we did this yesterday in yesterday's class, actually, right? The sense of smell is one of the 5 senses. Are there still 5 senses? By now I thought like it's gone up to 6 or 7, you know? When I was in school, there were like, a few consonants. Now there's like a whole bunch of them. So everyone needs their own consonants, right? Eventually we'll have like 200 of them. Right, it's the 5 senses. So in Gan Eden, we know that each one of the senses was defiled through the hate, through the sin of Adam and Rishon. What was the sin? They saw the fruit, right? She saw it and desired it. She heard what the Nachash had to say, the serpent had to say to her. She touched the fruit, and they ate the fruit. But nowhere does it tell us that they smelled the fruit. They didn't smell it. This is written in a number of places, that the system of smell, reach, this system of smell has not been affected and is the purest of all and the most spiritual of all the senses we have. Happens to be that even scientifically, what's called the olfactory system, the system of smelling, is one of the things that takes you back and connects you to memory, doesn't it? You smell certain foods, it takes you back to your childhood, you know? As I said yesterday, I come to visit my kids' school, I smell the detergent, I go back to high school, I'm in the principal's office, you know, being told off again, right? How'd you get in here, right? So immediately smell connects us with a very spiritual faculty of humanity. And that's why there is no coincidence that the word reach for smell is connected to the word ruach, which is spirit. Spirit and spirituality is ruchnius. Right? A person has a spiritual connection. It's called ruchniut or ruchnius. Okay? There is no coincidence. Says the Gemara, Rava Amar, look inside, the moirach the invective. This idea that is going to be animated is actually, he's going to smell a person and din and judge them. How does he judge? By using his sense of smell. Not through his eyes, and not through his ears. He's going to sniff him out. His prophecy comes through his nose. And the bigger the nose, the bigger the prophecy. No, I don't know about that. Right? That's the one we see over here. What's fascinating about this is that this is actually a real way of doing it. I don't literally mean he's going to sniff them. I don't know what this means. And we're not going to Mashiach comes. However, Bar Kochba was claimed by himself and others, great people, Rabbi Akiva among them, to have been a potential Mashiach. And the Gemara tells us that they tested him. And they said, well, Azad the prophet told us that if you're the Mashiach, you can smell and judge. And somehow they tested his level of prophecy, somehow through the smelling system, out of what it was, and he failed. And because of that, they rejected him, and he ended up being killed by the Romans. Right? Bar Kochba. Right? It's just fascinating that they used this methodology, was used historically, and will be used again. He's going to have to prove it, and somehow through a sense of smell. Okay? Again, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I'm sure there's people greater than me who do know, I'm sure. But I'm just saying what the words of the prophet are, and the Gemara to understand it. Okay? That's the checking methodology. He's going to have the system. Okay. So that's what he's going to figure out, and that's how he's going to figure out. But how else do we know that we found the Mashiach? So we've touched upon a bunch already, but now the Rambam in Hilchot Malachim gives us a nice checklist. You written this down, peeps? We good? Okay. Let us go through our checklist to know if we found the Mashiach. What's unusual about this checklist is that there's actually different phases, and some of it proves possible, and the rest of it proves definite. Let's do it together. Says the Rambam in Hilchot Malachim, V'im yamod melech, if a king comes forward, number one, Mibeit David, he's got to be from the tribe of King David, tribe of Yehuda, directly from King David. That's number one. Number two, says the Rambam, he's got to know Torah, Hoga b'Torah. He's got to know his stuff. Okay? Number three, V'osek b'mitzvot k'David aviv. And he's got to do mitzvah. What's that? If you know Torah, you're doing mitzvah, right? No. Right? There are many people, Jews who, I don't know, professors at certain colleges around the country, who know plenty of Torah, they know their Bible, right? But they don't do mitzvah. You've got to do both. He's got to be active in his mitzvah.
Is this Mashiach you're talking about?
Yeah. This is the Rambam's checklist to know you found Mashiach. And when we say, do mitzvot, these are rabbinic mitzvot, the Rabbanans, right, from the Talmud, and the Oraises. Okay? Torah and rabbinic. Right? It can't just be a biblical reality. He's got the Torah Shebichtav, Torah Sheba'al Peh, and all the mitzvot. It can't be like, well, I follow the Bible, I'm not involved in Purim. He's keeping Purim. And we'll see actually Purim is going to be a very interesting holiday. It's going to reveal a lot to us about Mashiach. We shall get there, God willing. Purim is the paradigm. My favorite holiday. Number 4. Yes, Dina. What's on your mind?
You know those Jews that don't keep their Rabbanan mitzvah?
Yes.
Well, what do they say to this?
Number 4. That's it. It's the problem. They're gone. They're not part of the Jewish people. I mean, they're Jewish, but they've removed themselves. You remove the Torah Sheba'al Peh, says the Rambam, no places, even one of the mitzvahs Ba'al Peh, Chusla is already out. Go on, take a hike. V'yachaf, now this gets interesting. Now it gets interesting and a little political. V'yachaf kol Yisrael elech ba, v'lechazek badka, ba'Hashem, sorry, v'lechazek badka. He's also going to persuade people. He's going to persuade the people to follow Hashem. Right? All this relates to what we said before. He's not going to just sit there as an academic, full of information, even doing mitzvah. He's going to be out there. He's going to create what we in our generation call a kiruv movement. Okay? Not just kiruv rechokim, but kiruv karovim. Not just the Jews who are far away, but even the Jews who are close. He's going to bring them closer and closer. He's going to impact the world. The Jewish world we're talking about now. He's going to impact. People are going to follow him. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a leader and people are going to follow him. Yes, Chloe.
What do you mean by Beit David?
He's going to have to come from King David's house. King David's house means he's a direct descendant of King David. Yeah? We got another 4 to go. 5. What's number 5? Number 5 says the Rambam. V'yilachem milchos Hashem. He's going to fight God's wars. He's going to fight God's wars. Okay? Now, these wars could be spiritual, but looking at the words of the prophets, could well be physical wars too. Right? Oh, that's what a great king does. King David did it. King David was a warrior king. Right? A great tzaddik in every way, shape, or form. But that doesn't preclude you. It precluded King David from building the Beit HaMikdash. May not preclude Mashiach from doing it. If he's got to, he's going to fight wars. Right? The wars of Hashem, mitzvah wars, right? Protecting the Jewish people and possibly taking territory as well. Says the Rambam, now we're going to group these 5 together. Says the Rambam, if he does these 5, you can presume or assume you found Mashiach. It's a good assumption that this is the guy. Okay? This is good. Right? This is good stuff. But I need something else. Says the Rambam, a person can have all those and definitely be up with a position, but if you want to know for sure, as in the dead giveaway, or the live giveaway, he's got to have the next 3 as well. So we'll do number 6 over here. So this is one grouping, okay? And we've done most of these. Let's just group these together, like that. But now we look at 6, 7, and 8. And 6, 7, and 8 are very, very interesting. He says like this, Im asa v'etzliach. If he continues and defeats the Nisa Kolomot Shesivivav, now he's going to go, and not only is he going out and fighting the wars, but he's winning them and doing well. Maybe this is spiritual, but most likely physical wars of the nations coming to attack us. And he's leading that somehow. I don't know if it means he has to be in the field himself, but he's leading those wars and doing well. That's good. So he's winning wars. And obviously these are wars in and around Jerusalem and Israel. Right? Most of the action actually is around Jerusalem, but Israel as well, right? Because these are the non-Jewish nations that are out there. Number 7, he's got to build the Beis HaMikdash, says the Rambam. You got to have the Beis HaMikdash. But look at his words. Look at his words very carefully, my friends. Ubana Migdash Bimkomo. What's Bimkomo? In its place. Why? Could you build a Beit HaMikdash not in its place? Yeah, build wherever you want. Right? Go to Eilat, Tel Aviv. The place you build a temple, says no, it's not going to work. It's got to be in its place, which is Har Habayit. Now we're getting tricky. Right? Suddenly, it ain't just about him, what a big tzaddik he is. He's going to have to impact people, and he's going to have to build a Mikdash. And finally, we'll see different opinions on these. Some say the time itself will demonstrate all this as well. We're going to come to that. And finally, he's going to gather together all the Jews to Israel. And this final one is what I find the most fascinating, and we're going to focus on this for a little bit. Because once you start to see a mass movement of Jews into Israel, some say as a pre-Messianic era, that could be a sign that Mashiach is close. Okay? That could be a sign that Mashiach is close. Okay? Let's look at Isaiah the prophet when he describes it. Where's the Rambam getting this from? From the Nevi'im. Right? He ain't making this stuff up. Chapter 11 of Isaiah the prophet, verse 12. V'haya b'yomahu, it's going to be on that day. Shoresh Yishai, the root of Yishai. Yishai is Jesse, who was the father of King David. Very good. Okay. King David's father's name was Jesse, Yishai. Asher Amad Nesamim is going to act now. Nes, just as a side point over here, means a miracle, but that's not what it means over here. And nes also means, you know what the word nes actually means? A banner or a flag. Like the nes begiva, right? The banner or a flag. So he's going to stand as a banner of flag. What does that mean? That means he's going to really stand out. People are going to know. What does a flag do? It shows you own some territory. That's why wherever you go, you put a flag down. Like you go to the moon, put a flag up, put a flag over there. We've conquered this territory. We have control over it, right? So he himself is going to be like a flag. Who for? For the peoples. Elav goyim, and from here to him, goyim yidrashu. He's going to have tremendous honor, and the nations are going to inquire of him. They're going to come to him, right? V'haya bayom on that day, Yosef Hashem Sheinis Yado. For a second time, Hashem is going to take out his hand and is going to gather together all the people, Likanos Shar Amo, to gather the rest, the remainder of his people, Asher Yishar, who are from Eshur, Mitzrayim, from Egypt, Partus, Kush, Elim, Shinar, all these locations. We're not too sure what these locations are today. And from the far islands of the world, wherever the Jews are, spread all over the world, Hashem's going to put his hand the second time, and he's going to gather us all together. Right? Right? V'nisa nes legoyim, and he shall raise a banner to the nations. V'asaf nidche Yisrael, as he gathers together the dispersed of the Jewish people, unefasos Yehuda, and the scattered ones of Judah, ikabet me'arba kavos aretz, from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah is saying, you want Mashiach? That's what Mashiach's doing. That's where the Rambam gets it from. He's gathering these people all over the world. Now we're going to divide up pre-Messianic to Messianic era. Part of the pre-Messianic, you can't deny it, is the amount of Jews who return to the land of Israel. We're not saying that's what brings Mashiach. We're saying that that's what makes Mashiach recognizable as the power to do that. Mashiach is going to have to continue that trend and keep bringing in people. Yeah? Says the Rambam, very interesting. This is on a commentary to Bimid, page 41, note 3. Says the Ramban, because Mashiach is going to gather in all the lost tribes and all the lost Jews from all over the world to the land of Israel, Yimshilanu lekochav adorach. He's compared to a flashing star, barakia, in the heavens, Mixer Shemaim, that goes from one end of the heaven to the other end of the heavens. This is another metaphor for Mashiach, a flashing star that spans, goes whoosh, a shooting star, actually. Okay, meaning it's visible to the whole world. We all see it, and we see its movement. He's going to be like a shooting star, whoosh, cover the entire world. Okay? That doesn't mean he's going to be a star, all right? But he's going to have stardom. People know who he is, and they're going to know all about it. It's going to be very obvious. This is Isaiah. This is the Ramban understanding something from the Torah. Okay, so right, and he quotes Daniel the prophet. Shnei Mar Bo, it said about him, "Va'aru am ananei shemaya kvar enash ata," which means I was watching night visions and the clouds of a heaven, and a man came. From the heavens, it means he's going to span the heavens. As so the heavens cover the earth, so too the Mashiach is going to be known throughout the earth. He's going to gather Jews from every part of the earth. You're not going to end up like all the Chinese Jews. Oh, I didn't hear about this on Mashiach thing. We're all going to know. Yeah. And this information is very important for the goal of Mashiach, because Mashiach is going to have to do something else, ladies. He's going to have to persuade the non-Jewish nations as a Mashiach as well. It isn't just us. Look at the Rambam, Hilchot Malachim, chapter 11, 4. Right? We're slowly making our way through this Rambam. When the true King Mashiach comes, remember the Rambam was dealing with a lot of false ones, right? Especially in Yemen, right? With the Jews he was counseling. He was going to come elevated and exalted. Miyad hem kulan choizrim v'yodim. What's going to happen? The Jews are going to be impressed, but the non-Jews are going to be as well, and they're going to do something immediately. As soon as they hear this Messiah has come, and the entire world knows about it, says the Rambam, they're going to realize that all of their prophets were false. All of their teachings, for the most part, were false as well. Sheker nachlo v'seihem, and all of their ancestors gave them sheker, right? Nevi'ehem, and their prophets, v'oseihem hotum, and their fathers and their prophets were wrong. All the other religions of the world are going to disappear. This does not mean that they become Jewish. They don't need to become Jewish. Only the Jews need to be Jewish. They're fine as non-Jews. Absolutely fine. No problemo. Trust me. But that does not mean they can keep on with their false religions. Those religions will disappear and they will willingly. It's coming from them, not from us. We're not going to go around smashing people up. That's not the Jewish way. They themselves are going to relinquish their religion and be like, I realize we were wrong in many areas. I have an inkling, because I learned from my religion the idea of a Messiah. I learned from my religion there's a God, right? But the teachings of their religion, from their religion, not that they've gleaned from us, are going to be false, gone. Chloe, I'm nervous about this question.
No.
Don't be nervous, Rabbi.
No, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot. Hold on. You made me forget it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Should we go on? You'll come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I
Okay, you
remember.
came back.
So for Christians, like, you know how they used to be Jewish, like back in the day?
No, they did not.
But when it wasn't Jesus Jewish?
Jesus was Jewish.
So
But his
there
followers
Jews-
they were pagans too. Now, his followers, those great Israel, were not, the rabbis did not accept him. I'm still upset about that a little bit. And did not accept Jesus as Messiah. And his followers, and when his religion was actually created, which was between 1500 years later, right, in Nicaea, all these things were made up, and these are non-Jews and pagans that created it. Which is why Christianity actually evolved over time. It wasn't like when the Jesus cult started, it was very small, in a small group. There were some Jews among them, but there were many non-Jews, many pagans among them, right? So,
But what about the Jews that converted out of Judaism, or like lost their Judaism and went to another religion?
okay. What's your question? What's going to happen at the end of days to them?
Yeah.
They're going to have a chance. If they are Jewish and they have yichus, they can prove it, and Mashiach will say what tribe they come from, they become part of the people, right? By the way, you don't have to go that far back. What about the Jews who after the Holocaust, right? I mean, there's Christian priests. I happen to know, I'm friends on Facebook with a Christian priest. If you saw him, he's got the whole thing, the dog collar, he's got a name that's very nice, and he's a Jewish guy. His mother's Jewish. How'd you know about that?
Yeah, we had a class.
That was in our class?
Yeah.
It was years, it was like 2 years or 3 years ago. Yeah, he came into a discussion with me. He's a Jewish guy. What about him? He had an opportunity. There's also, we're going to talk more about this later on. This is another fascination of mine. There's going to be a short window that converts can come in. It's going to be a short window. But one of the signs Mashiach is coming are the amount of converts going to join our people. You're going to see an influx of converts joining the Jewish people beforehand. That is also written. And different tribes coming. We're going to talk more about that. But right now we're talking about the Jews that are going to absolutely, every Jew is going to say, you're a Jew. He's going to turn around to people. Sorry, I left this out. He's going to sniff out and say, you thought you were non-Jewish, you're actually Jewish. When you say someone you're part of a tribe, he's going to tell whether they're Jewish or not. There's a lot of people out there who don't know if they're Jewish, who are actually not halakhically Jewish, and you say you're not Jewish, and there'll be a short window they can actually get involved and can convert if they so wish to. They don't have to. They're fine as they are. But there'll be a window they can convert. Yeah.
Is it conceivable that a lot of people are going to find out that they're not Jewish?
Yes, conceivable.
I mean,
Conceivable.
But what
There are
happens then?
tons of people out there who walk around thinking they're Jewish and are not halakhically Jewish. There's a whole... I spend most of my... There's a lot of them. They all have an opportunity.
No, even people like who were converted, let's say, not Orthodox.
If they do not have a halachic conversion, they are not Jewish, and they'll be given an opportunity to convert. There will be a short window of time. That can't go on forever, though, right? And they won't have to. We don't go out proselytizing, say, you got to become Jewish, right? We can see already, the entire world is going to be involved in this. This isn't just a Jewish reality. The entire world is going to change. An opportunity to come in and to convert properly, or they'll be told they're not Jewish, or they're told they are Jewish and they didn't realize they were. There's loads of those people as well. I mean, look at the, we call in Hebrew Tinok Shenishba. Tinok Shenishba, you heard that expression before? No. Tinok Shenishba is a kidnapped child. Okay, it goes back to a reality when kids were actually kidnapped as babies and brought up in the church, and then later on found out they were Jewish. They're not culpable for their averas because they were babies and they were taken. But now we live in a generation, people say, of Tinok Shenishba, of kids who grew up with no Judaism whatsoever by their Jewish parents, knowing they're Jewish but not knowing much more, right? Not knowing the first thing about Judaism. What about them? They're going to opportunity. They'll be told you're actually Jewish and they're going to have to do something about it. Absolutely. That's what Mashiach is going to create this movement. Yeah? Exciting times. This is living right where this is happening. I mean, you realize this. Are we getting this on maybe more explicit? What we're describing here is happening now. Right? You got to be blind not to see it. Yeah.
Mashiach can be born with this sense of smell.
No, I don't believe so. He's going to develop it. He's going to develop it. What?
Like at what point?
It's a form of fraud. It's not a rational thing. It's not a rational, it's a prophecy.
The sense of smell, since it's Ruach HaKodesh, will he only have it in Israel then? Like he'll develop it when he's there?
Where he gets it, he develops as a person. He's going to be in Eretz Yisrael. We've mentioned already that you can only be a prophet in Eretz Yisrael. Prophecy only came to the prophets in Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes they left Eretz Yisrael, but there was this continuation of a mission that started in Eretz Yisrael. We've already said that. In order to be a prophet, you've got to be in Israel. The other lands do not have the spiritual power to give a prophet prophecy. And we already said the majority of the Jewish people have to be in Israel, which explains number 8. He's going to need most of the Jews in Israel in order to allow his prophecy to flourish. You can only prophesy when the majority of the Jewish people are in the land of Israel. And we are cusping it right now. Oh, we're on the cusp. I have the numbers if you want.
Yeah.
You want the numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay, this is actually recent, so I have to go back into my book now, okay? Okay, Tina. No problem. Oh, Lord. Where is it? Maybe 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Probably Google it faster, by the way. Sorry, I put some on my new book, but I can't. Oh! Found it. Okay, here we go. As of September 2016, the state of Israel has a population of 8.585 million. Okay? That's 172,000 more same time last year. Jews make up 3/4 of the population. That's 6.4 million residents. Okay? And 1.8 million Arabs. Okay, so 6.4 million Jews in Eretz Israel. Okay, those of other backgrounds include non-Arab Christians, those not characterized, they make up another 5%. Okay, so that's what was the answer to that? 6.4, yeah?
And how much are we?
Okay, as of May 2016, the total population, which by the way has probably gone down since then because the intermarriage rate is like, shooting through the sky. It's at 73% of non-Orthodox affiliated Jews. 73% intermarriage in America. That's biblical in of itself. But as of May 2016, total population of Israel, sorry, that's Israel. Where are we? That's not, no. I'm sorry, so hold on. Whoa. Oh, Lawrence, let's try to view. Page 30. Oh, yeah, how to leave it out? Okay, someone's have to Google it.
I have it here.
Go on.
Well,
I want a recent one though. Don't go to. Give me a recent one.
Yeah, this is the thing that popped up. I don't know if it's recent.
Go on. Jews in rest of the world outside of Israel. Oh, give me the whole total. We'll just deduct the Israeli number.
Okay, it says, while dozens of countries host at least a small Jewish population, the community is concentrated in a handful. Israel and the United States account for 83% of the Jewish population.
Yeah, 83% in Israel and America, yeah.
While a total of 18 countries host 98%. 1 second. With just over 6 million Jews, Israel is the only Jewish majority in explicitly Jewish.
Got that one.
It didn't say, hold on.
But does that include intermarried Jews? Because like we have a different consideration of like Jews than other people.
It says that in the world there's 13.3 million Jews.
Okay, that sounds about right. So 13.3 minus 6.4. Somebody?
You said that there are so many people including Jewish and not.
If it includes them,
It probably does.
I don't think the ones in Israel are the ones.
But it's probably not the ones in Israel because they have such strict laws about it.
the Israel don't never outside. No, that's the problem. That means there's a lot. She's saying there's a lot more outside of Israel because a lot of Jews walk around who are not halakhically Jewish.
It's
6.9.
6.9
Outside. 6.8 inside. Is that 6.4? Yeah, 6.4. Wow, that's close. That can change in a couple of years. That can. All right.
Mashiach.
And the French Jews, they can't wait to get out. They're flying to Israel now. Ooh, they're a couple more airlifts from a few Arab countries. There's more anti-Semitism in America, heaven forbid, and off we go. Whoop! I mean, it's very close. Again, it's never been like this. 2,000 years of Jewish history has not been like this. We've always had presence in Israel, as we said, but not this amount. This is unbelievable. Okay. Let me just finish up the Ramban. That was it. That was the Ramban. Did you answer every question? What do we leave out? Numbers, amounts, non-Jews coming, time for converts. We'll see that inside, yeah?
So you said that when he comes, the non-Jews will realize that they were wrong
Yeah.
in many aspects, and their religions will disappear.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Very good. They will become higher. They will become monotheists, right? They're not going to follow their false prophets. They'll be monotheists, and they will. And the Rambam says this, and this is the punchline: they will stop hurting the Jews. No anti-Semitism. The Rambam says. I mean, some disagree with him. The biggest change that we're going to see is that the non-Jewish people are going to leave us alone, and there'll be no more anti-Semitism. That's really the big difference. That's what we're not waiting to take control of the world. Right? I don't care what you read on the internet. That's not the Jewish idea. The Jewish idea is that we're able to fulfill our Torah, do our mitzvah, live a good life in Eretz Yisrael without the other nations wanting to hurt us. Stop anti-Semitism. That's what we're waiting for. That's what we're all leading to. That's the reason. That's what we're going for.
Wait, so this is going to happen before Mashiach comes?
No, Mashiach's going to make this happen. Oh, no. Mashiach's going to make this happen. No chance. Look at it. I mean, look all the guns are pointing towards us. It's anti-Semitism all over the entire world.
Won't there still be people that don't like us?
Nope. Done.
They're not gonna like.
Done. I know. Unbelievable, right? This is the most. All of this is nothing compared to this final point. It's nothing. No more anti-Semitism of the Rambam. That's the main difference of before Mashiach as Mashiach. Okay, temple in Jerusalem, lots of Jews in Israel, right? All eating shawarma and falafel are here. The big difference is they're going to leave us alone to do our job.
And it will
Sorry.
be like this for the rest of
Yes.
eternity.
Yes. Or then Tchesa Mason, we'll get to that. Things are going to change there as well. But yes.
When you say that they become monotheists, like that only leaves Judaism since all the other religions are gone with it.
That's not true. Islam's a monotheistic religion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do the other monotheistic religions just get to keep their religions, but they're just...
They're parts of it.
that-
Parts of it. Parts of it. But they have false prophets too, all those other religions. All gone. Oh, no more atheism. I thought I should throw that out there. Right, the biggest Jewish religion. Forgot about that one, right? Atheism is gone as well, obviously. That accounts for, all the other Jews out there.
If they're gonna know, I don't understand. How are they still gonna keep their religion?
They're not getting the religion's gone. I said certain ideas within the religion that there's one God. If they're monotheists, that will stay with them. But the really the Jewish people and the Torah is emes.
So when they realize that Judaism is the only way.
Yeah, but they don't have to become part of the Jewish people. They're fine as they are. Judaism is for the Jews only, and those who want to join it. They don't have to join it. They'll be fine as they are. They'll believe in one God and fulfill the Sheva Mitzvah Noach or whatever they'll become when Mashiach comes. That's it. They'll reach a higher level. No more. That's it. They won't become Jewish. The world will not become Jewish. This is a misnomer which I've heard people say again and again and again. It's not true. Right? Just as we say to any non-Jew today, they have to become Jewish to have a connection to God. We didn't have a monopoly on God. It's the God of the entire world. It was Abraham, Avhamon. Right?
There's a lot of people that, like, if they don't want to see something, they won't see it. Even if it's right in front of their face. So these types of
This is going to change. Yeah, that's up to now. That's an Olam Hazeh. Olam Haba, Mashiach Olam Haba. No excuses. It's going to become very apparent. We're going to see it. We're going to see more prophecies. Right? Just like we saw one already. Just like a star goes across the sky, it's clear as a shooting star. You see it, it's there, it's visible. It's a real reality. It'll be undeniable. There's going to be no cognitive dissonance. Right? The nation's going to come, they're going to stream. I mean, it's not going to start. It could start with them trying to attack us first. Right? But this is the end point. I mean, this is the goal. We jump to the end.
There's Christians that think that Jesus is Mashiach, so obviously they'll know that that's not true.
Gone.
And there's also Christians that think Jesus is just God, So are they going to be
That's worse.
thinking that?
That's
a-
right. Well, if you believe in Christian theology says that he's the Son, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. He is God.
No, but there's some that don't think of him as the Son of God. They just think of him as God. You know what I mean?
Well, they're going to the Son of God as God himself. That's a problem. We have a problem with that. Right? That
So really
smells
the
of,
other,
excuse the
like-
expression, that smells of Avodah Zarah.
The only
Schmecks.
monotheistic religions like Islam or Christianity. They don't
Christianity,
say
we
that
don't
there's
see Christianity as a monotheistic religion.
Really?
We see it as a partnership, a shutfus, right? And some say maybe not full of Avodah Zarah, not from our perspective. We wouldn't be able to do business with them even, right? But it's getting close. That's why according to Judaism, you can't walk into a church according to Judaism, right? He's up on the wall. His mother's a Homish Bacha. Everyone's up there.
Yeah, but they don't think of them as God.
Yes, they do.
No, not all of them.
Okay. There may be certain differences among them, but theologically speaking, Jesus
So
is
then,
God.
like,
He's the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost.
Is that because we think that
Islam is different. Islam sees them, even Islam accepts Jesus as a prophet, right? But they believe Muhammad is the greatest prophet and follow his teachings. That's not Avodah Zarah. They don't see him as God. I'll tell you something. Who was that group in Israel? I had a conversation. One of my trips, the guard was a Druze. You know the Druze is a very secretive religion, the Druze. They're very good people. They serve in the army, right? They're very loyal to whichever nation they're in, they're loyal to. And they made loyalty, and they serve as trackers in Israel. They're very, very good people. Do you know who they believe is God? Do you know who their main prophet is? Yisro, Moshe Rabbeinu's father-in-law, Jethro. Actually, according to this guy, he wasn't so frum, because you're allowed to choose and become part or not choose, and it's up to you, right? But they believe that Yisro created the world. It's very secret. Even the adherents in the religion don't know the full religion. Sounds weird, right? Because Judaism is like it's all available. But they believe that. He told me, according to us, Jethro created the world. I mean, that's dodgy, that is. If he's right. I mean, he was his wife was religious, he wasn't. There's a lot of religions out there. I mean, since the beginning of time, there's probably been like 25,000 religions, sects, and cults. There's tons of them. All gone. Have a great day. Be successful. Pick this up next class. Please, next class.